So far, we have done with outcome-based educations, Bloom's taxonomy, assessment and evaluations. Now we are entering the student-centered learning. This is in line with the golden triangles. The outcome-based educations is about the learning outcome. There are a series of components need to be incorporated within the learning outcome in order to ensure the students achieve those learning outcomes. There shall be a series of well-designed teaching and learning activities. The teaching and learning activities will facilitate the learnings of the students. And then come to the assessment. The assessment comprises two main parts, which are assessment and evaluations. Assessing the performance of the students and evaluations of the effectiveness in terms of the delivery of the course and the program. All these are interrelated. Now that we have covered most of these two here, we're going to deal with the teaching and learning activities here. Conventionally, most of the teaching and learning activities are teacher-centered learning. We have been very familiar with this. Nowadays, the education is transforming from the teacher-centered learning towards student-centered learning. There is a trend and intention to reduce the teacher-centered learning and increase the portions of the student-centered learning. Why is it so? This is in line with the fundamentals of outcome-based education. Remember that outcome-based educations are student-based. The focus is on what students learn instead of what teachers teach. Because of that, we will find the student-centered learning will be more advantageous. Another advantage of student-centered learning, it will be the effectiveness in terms of the delivery of the soft skills. Among the soft skills include the critical thinking, problem solving, creative thinking skills, management, leaderships, teamwork, communications, analytical skills, and also ICT. There are others due to the challenging working environments in the current stage, and together with the advancements of the technology, having knowledge alone is insufficient. The industry is demanding for more, and one of the greatest advantage to compete in the industry, it will be when the graduates come together with necessary soft skills. Therefore, in these chapters, we're going to focus more on the student-centered learning. Now, what is student-centered learning? You may refer to the diagram here to have an idea. The traditional method, which is the teacher-centered learning, you will have a group of students listening to the teachers. The teachers has the knowledge and the experience, and then the knowledge and experience delivered to the students through the teacher. You will see the flow of knowledge and experience is one-directional. This teaching method is effective in transferring a lot of knowledge to the students within a short period of time. Nevertheless, there are some prior conditions. First, there must be a significant difference in terms of the knowledge, experience, and skills between the teachers and the students. The teachers have the great advantage in terms of the possessions of those knowledge and experience. Also, the teacher will have all the knowledge and experience as required by the students. Second, the students needs to be very attentive and having the ability to stay focused throughout the delivery of the teachers. They have to be vigilant in order not to miss any important knowledge and experience shared by the teacher. I would say that before the advancements of the technology, when the information technology is not that matured, And when the knowledge and informations are not easily accessible by the students, and this could be the best model. However, with the development of the technology, knowledge and informations are all around. Everyone have the equal chance to access informations, as long as he or she wishes to. This has changed the conditions where the teachers has no significant advantage over the possessions of the knowledge as compared to the students. Sometimes the students can keep up with the latest technology more easily. They are able to acquire more information than the teacher. Another situation here it would be when there are so many informations to be incorporated within the learning that it has gone beyond the capacity of one person to recall everything and to effectively deliver everything. Just happen that this is the disadvantages of the teacher-centered learning. There are some limitations. Alongside with the development of the technology, the teacher-centered learning may not be as effective anymore. Therefore, there is a need for us to transform from the teacher-centered learning into the student-centered learning. Nonetheless, the academic field still embraces on the teacher-centered learning. It is easier to conduct, and there should be a significant change in order to transform the teacher-centered learning into the student-centered learning. And because of the leap is too large, many still stay with the teacher-centered learning. That's why, even though all this year we have been promoting the student-centered learning, yet if you really do a proper survey, you will realize that many academicians still stuck with the teacher-centered learning. Some are taking initiative trying to adopt the student-centered learning. However, they encounter difficulties. The students are also not ready with the student-centered learning, but at least they try. My personal observations, there are lecturers who intend to transform into the student-centered learning. However, the entire operation system within the program and institutions cannot fully accommodate that. This leads to a situation that the student-centered learning cannot be applied in full-fledged. Anyway, it is good to have a start. Now, why is it the student-centered learning, even though those being applied are still half-baked? The reason being here is, when come to the assessment, it is still very restrictive to the typical examinations, which you know that examinations may not fully compatible for the student-centered learning. Normally, it will come to a dilemma. If we do not implement examinations, we can't find alternative of assessment with equivalent levels of consistency and reliability. These are the difficulties of implementing the student-centered learning. The teacher-centered learning and the student-centered learning, they are different by nature, and because of that, the entire pipeline of teaching and learning activities as well as the assessment will have to be reconstructed. This requires high levels of creativity, and sometimes the consistency is very difficult to ensure. You are unable to ensure the consistency in terms of the quality of delivery by different teachers, and you also have difficulty to ensure the consistency in terms of the quality of learning in a group of students under the same teacher. You know that when come to managing a program, one of the greatest challenge it will be ensuring the consistency and reliability. The conventional methods of having assessment in the exam can ensure that the bare minimum quality in terms of the knowledge gained by the students. This can serve as a reliable gateway in discharging the students into the industry. However, when it comes to the student-centered learning, the assessment it will be more towards subjective methods. There are means to increase the objectivity in terms of the assessment, but there are still uncertainty. It is possible students pass the assessment method, however, do not possess sufficient knowledge and experience meeting the requirements of the industry because of the limitations of the assessment. This meant the academicians are in the observation mode, waiting for somebody to break through this barrier with a proven, successful record, then everyone will follow. I believe that many lecturers are not really resistant to the student-centered learning. There are many other considerations, especially in terms of the assessment part, and also the quality of learning of the students. Another challenge of student-centered learning, it will be the backup system, allowing the teachers to gather all the individual data of the students. Theoretically, the relationship should be one-to-one basis. Now, if you have a group of students, the teacher will have to closely monitor every individual students. And the monitoring, it will be progressive throughout the entire semester. In terms of the monitoring works, it is definitely greater than the conventional teacher-centered learning. Now the system is not in place. We are yet to have really powerful system to automate and facilitate the process of monitoring individual students. There shall be a series of data, and then when it comes to the monitoring, what is achievable at the current stage is for the teachers to identify good performer and poor performer. However, it is still not effective enough in custom-made the coaching between the teachers and individual students. This will be very much dependent on the wisdom and the initiative of the teachers. And very often, it will end up that the teachers pay more attention in coaching the poor performer, ensuring they pass, while leave the good performers to be independent, since they have the ability to do the self-learning. Ultimately, this is only half-baked student-centered learning. You know that every student have the equal right to be coached by the teacher. They should be given equal opportunity to go through the learning experience at their own pace. It is until that the teachers can custom-make the training and coaching individually to every student without imposing any limits in terms of their performance, then the student-centered learning will be considered in full-fledged. What does it mean? Let's say now in a class you have good performance. The teacher should follow up with coaching in terms of more advanced technique so that they perform better. As for poor performers, the teachers will have to come up another alternative way to facilitate the learning of the poor performer in order to improve their performance. With that, you will see a significant variations in terms of the qualities of learning between good students and the poor students. There shouldn't be any limits or any compromise to the students who can perform well, which at the same time, those poor students are not being neglected or overlooked. That is the beauty of student-centered learning. Although there are a lot of software and systems available in the market that can be used as a tool for student-centered learning, some concentrated on these teaching and learning activities, and some concentrated in terms of monitoring the assessments of the individual students. Because of wide variety in terms of the mechanism that can be done for the student-centered learning, so far there is yet a system that can accommodate all sorts of possibility under the student-centered learning. That means we are still in the transition periods. The concept and principles are there. It always comes faster than any mechanism or systems trying to realize it. Therefore, we will have to be patient and do what we can do on the student-centered learning. We haven't explained about this diagram here. This is very different from the teacher-centered learning, as it adds up a lot of other components other than the knowledge and experience possessed by the teachers. The knowledge now and experience now may also be beyond the possessions of the teachers. The teachers may not have all the answers for the problem, and the relevant experience may not necessarily come from the teachers. All this can be easily accessed from the surrounding through various technology and through various exposure. This is the significant difference in terms of the knowledge and experience between the student-centered learning and the teacher-centered learning. Another significant difference, it will be the directions of the delivery. This one is one directional, while this one is two directional. The relationship is one to many when the knowledge is transferred from the teachers to the students. But now the relationship here, it can be one to many, and this many, it needs to be custom-made to the needs of individual group of students or individual students. The arrow now is not one arrow here, there will be many arrows. And at the same time, the student-centered learning allowed the reversal in terms of the directions of delivery. When come to this stage, it will be many to one. Now this put the students to be equivalent levels to the teacher. That is another difference between the teacher-centered learning and the student-centered learning. They are being put at the same levels. Of course, the teachers has still advantages over the knowledge and experience, which at the same time, the students may also have the advantage of knowing the possible behavior of the students. As for the rest, these teachers may not necessarily be always better than the students. Especially coming to this stage here, the students may possess other skills which are better than the teachers. The teacher may not be ultimate solutions to the students. Like I said, nowadays the students are more computer literate than teachers. They are more aware of the technology as compared to the teachers. So both parties, the teachers and the students, will have to always put themselves in the learning mode. There will be continuous growth in terms of the knowledge among the teachers, not only among the students. Next, the teacher is responsible to facilitate the learning process of the students. Through this, there will be an additional component, which is the belief. Belief in the ability of the students. More responsibility are given to the students in their learning process. And the teacher will have to believe the students, having the ability to do so. Which at the same time, the student themselves will have to believe in themselves as well. Not only believe in themselves, they will have to put their trust to their members and their classmates, as there will be a lot of individual learning and collaborative works. This is not the best mechanism of the student-centered learning. A more advanced version it will be. The students can learn from each other as well. Now the relationship, it may be substantially centered to the teachers. But the entire learning environment here should provide flexibility for the students to learn from each other. Now in terms of the delivery, it will not be only two directionals between the teachers and the students. It may also be multi-directionals between the students. That's why we say, if we really want to implement the student-centered learning, the students themselves will have to be also ready for this mode of learning. Now, when the teachers embrace on the teacher-centered learning, and students are comfortable with the teacher-centered learning, this still makes the teacher-centered learning relatively effective over the student-centered learning, even though now the current situations may not necessarily be good for the teacher-centered learning. This is because when the students do not know their responsibility and do not actively involve in the learning, the student-centered learning may still end up to be disaster. And if the teacher do not have the ability to facilitate the learning and get the students to cooperate, it may also lead to the disaster. Because of this risk and uncertainty, many academicians will still go for the more conservative method and putting themselves still in the teacher-centered learning. This is totally understandable. We are not penalizing the academicians for not adopting the student-centered learning. We are aware of the current changes in terms of the technology, aware of the challenges and limitations of the teacher-centered learning, which may not be sustainable, and the student-centered learning can be an option to break through this. We are aware of this, which at the same time we're also aware of the limitations. You have to get the students to also know the student-centered learning so that they can cooperate well with the teachers and maximize the impacts of the student-centered learning. And also we know that there are still a lot of challenges when it comes to the operation side. There is one more differences between the student-centered learning and the teacher-centered learning. Now the interactions between the teachers and the students may not be fully delivery of the knowledge. The emphasis now is more towards facilitations and supervision. It is like the teachers giving the guides and directions, setting the targets and the requirements with little guidance and basic information for the student to start up. And then the following learning process, it will be mainly on monitoring and facilitations. Once a while, you have to contribute the knowledge, but you have to find a balance between giving direct answers and stimulating the learning. You might need to put more efforts in terms of creating the belief among the students, giving confidence to the students that they can do it, why they have to do it, how they can do it, but not giving them direct answers. Especially on this aspect, when the students are still well trained in their primary and secondary schools in the mode of the teacher-centered learning, automatically they look high on the teachers and always seek for answer. Even though the teachers intends to guide the students, answering questions with questions, the students are not satisfied. They are looking for direct answers and shortcuts. It is as if the teachers do not have the solutions. In fact, even the teachers do not have the solutions. This doesn't make the teachers incompetent in conducting this student-centered learning. This is the greatest difference between the perceptions of teachers by the students when it comes to the student-centered learning. The students will have to treat the teachers as the facilitators instead of the center point of delivering informations. And because of the collaborative workings among the students build up other skills and ability, such as communicating among the students, coordinating the works among different groups, collaborating with the students, individual learning, critical thinking, and others. Normally, tasks and targets are given, and then the students will have to go through the learning process by completing the task. Now, the uncertainty happens between when the task is given and when the task is completed. What's happening in between, it will be mainly the responsibility of the students. Different students may go through the process differently, and because of that, the quality of learning varies. Now it is the responsibility of the teachers to regulate the process. For those who can learn very well, the teachers encourage them to learn more. For those who cannot cope with that, there should be some interventions to stimulate the learning process. Ultimately, everyone learns something by completing the task given, but the things that they have learned may not be identical among the students. And this leads to the uncertainty when it comes to the assessment. The assessment needs to be flexible enough to grab those. When you cannot ensure consistency in terms of the things that learned by the students, the conventional assessment method, such as examinations, may not necessarily be applicable. It could be applicable, but normally there will be some limitations. So if you really want to adopt the student-centered learning, you have to think about the entire pipeline. Probably you have to modify from the conventional method, and they will require a lot of creativities, and you really need to know how the students respond towards their learning. The entire monitoring process will be very vital. This is about the introductions about the student-centered learning. In the following videos, we will introduce you different types of student-centered learning, and then after that, we could deal with some risks and problems related to the student-centered learning. While promoting the student-centered learning, we cannot also ignore the limitations and also the risks of student-centered learning. With that, these chapters we're also going to deal with that.